Islamically, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, listen and obey. Sam'na wa ata'na. People can make crazy wealth in a very short space of time.
What is halal wealth generation? What is the definition of halal and Sharia compliant?
The overriding aspect is that whatever you invest your money into, it cannot be associated with blatantly haram industries. I'm human. At the end of the day, I'm not perfect in any way, but alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us structure. Why are certain things prohibited, like riba, interest? And it opens your eyes that, wow, there's so much damage to society from riba and interest.
Mazz, assalamu alaikum, brother.
Alaikum salam.
How are you?
Good, alhamdulillah.
Finally, I've actually been looking forward to this. Probably one of the most exciting ones because you really stand out on a topic that I believe right now is becoming a big thing, which is which is halal wealth generation.
Yeah.
And I think we live in a very exciting time and a very exciting period. I actually always say that we're going to go through the biggest transfer of wealth in the next coming few years. And now more than ever, this topic, your area of expertise is coming to surface. Interest, riba, usury.
Absolutely.
And I can't wait to talk about all these points with you. I have so many questions, so you have to bear with me.
Sure.
But let's first start with you. Who is Mazz? And tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Who's Mazz? Originally, my profession, I'm a dentist. Graduated from Newcastle in the UK, in England. I've been born and bred in Scotland my whole life. And then about COVID time, started really diving, actually before COVID, started really diving into the financial markets. And around the first lockdown is when the financial markets obviously went crazy. It was the first major crash that I think my generation experienced. Obviously, that was 2008, but this was the first major crash that we experienced. And I got a bit of a kick, and I realized that, you know what, this is the time when real wealth is made. When you can invest into the markets, essentially what a crash is a major discount for all good assets.
Yeah.
Because the COVID crash, which caused the financial market crash, it didn't happen because, like, for example, we take the best assets, Bitcoin, real estate, etc. The crash didn't occur because those assets became bad. The crash didn't happen because those assets were a bad investment. The crash happened for unrelated reasons.
Yes.
Because of COVID, right?
Yes.
Because Trump announced the first lockdown. So what you realize is that, okay, the market is going to recover. So if you can invest at the bottom, then you are buying at a major discount. And that's one of the rare opportunities, like a black swan event, that people can make crazy wealth in a very short space of time. The one thing we teach our clients, so obviously I ended up creating a wealth creation agency after that. And over the last 4 years, we've just expanded and grown, and we've got an entire ecosystem of our agency now. Just rebranded slightly. So now our agency is called the Halal Capital Club.
Halal Capital Club? I like it.
Yeah.
So it reminds me of Jules' Halal Porsche. So you should probably use that as your method of transportation.
I love Jules' general branding. Occasionally with my clients, I do use the term custom-made reality because it's just such a sick term, isn't it?
Yeah.
Such a sick term.
No, but I love that. And I've always been very intrigued by that myself too, especially in the last few years when the gap between the wealthy, middle class, and low income is widening. And kind of the middle class, you can kind of say that's also slowly disappearing in a lot of the places, especially in the West.
Yeah.
And people that would afford things before now can barely make ends meet, and they're living paycheck to paycheck. And this was supposedly, the middle class, when back in the day would be considered the American dream, and, where you could have a stable life, own your house, have a stable job, but that's almost unheard of right now. And this is not something that I say, this is something that I hear from every single person that has lived or gone through that experience. But going back a few steps why did you coin the term halal wealth generation as opposed to just wealth generation? What is it about halal wealth generation that got you focused and highlighting this method of wealth generation as opposed to conventional methods and conventional ways?
So when I first started my agency, it was mostly online programs, etc., just very basic online programs, and that was it. It wasn't a full agency or anything like that. And my initial audience was my own profession. It was dentists from the UK, and we were successful, alhamdulillah. But it was just dentists as a whole. Mm-hmm. And what I found was, because I was using social media to market, people were seeing my face, and I'm assuming because I'm brown, right, that it was mostly Muslims that were attracted to work with me. Yeah. And we still got, I would say, and we still do get 20% of non-Muslims wanting to work with us, which is amazing, and we don't turn them away at all. Mm-hmm. We're just very clear that that we don't deal with anything. If you want advice on mortgage rates and things like that, I'm going to suggest, don't come to me. Right? Yeah. But so yeah, I started off teaching dentists as a whole, and there were some non-Muslims, and we know I created our systems and our educational programs fully halal anyway, because it was what I was actioning anyway. It was what I built my wealth on, and I was teaching that, and it was all halal anyway. But I was finding that there were certain times when I had to kind of tread the line with some clients who were not non-Muslim. I had to kind of tread the line and explain, okay, I personally don't use for example, the S&P 500 for ethical and religious reasons. I don't believe it's permissible, but you do your research on that. So it's kind of like treading the line without, keeping them happy. And then I made the decision about 2 years ago, you know what? I sat with some amazing brothers, all doing very well in their own respective businesses, entrepreneurship, etc. And I asked them, what do you think about me going down? Because dentistry is already a very small niche. Dentists, it's a very small niche already for clients. And I said, what do you think about going down the niche even further, like focusing on like dentists and high income professionals, but only Muslims? And they said, listen, at the end of the day, the niche is where the power is. It's difficult, not easy, because the niche is very small. You have to target a very small group of people. Yeah. But when that small group of people see me talking to them, like for example, you see an ad on stories or something, and it's meeting Muslim dentists if you want to help building wealth, etc. And you're a Muslim dentist, you'll be like, wow, nobody is talking to me as a Muslim dentist. This guy is the only guy. So niche is where it's at. So I decided, I'm just going to go down. I wanted to stop treading the line anyway. Yeah. So I was like, okay, fine. I'm going to go all the way in, full halal wealth creation. And alhamdulillah, I haven't looked back since. And we've just focused entirely on teaching and giving our clients access to assets that are 100% Sharia compliant.
But this is my question to you. For those who don't know, what is halal wealth generation? What is the definition of halal and Sharia compliant? We know it, but a lot of other people don't, and it would be
so. There's a couple of aspects. The overriding aspect is that whatever you invest your money into, it cannot be associated with blatantly haram industries. Okay, so you're talking about gambling, banking, military applications, adult entertainment, even gaming. A little bit is a bit questionable because it's associated with kind of wasting time, and Islamically wasting time isn't encouraged, it's discouraged. Okay. So those kind of obvious industries, if it's associated with that, alcohol, and obviously impermissible drugs and all that kind of stuff.
So any industry that promotes or let's say entertains vice or damage to humanity.
Absolutely.
In any shape or form.
Beautifully summarized. That's essentially what Islam prohibits, isn't it? Yeah. It prohibits even going close to vice. Yeah. What is it hadith or I can't remember if it's hadith or Quran. It says don't even go close to zina. Don't even go close, because as soon as you kind of tread the line, then shaitan comes in and he influences you to go further down, and worse things happen. That's how people become addicted to drugs and things. They try something small. It's a gateway, isn't it? Of course. And then it gets worse and worse, and that. So Allah.
I find myself in that situation.
I'm the same. I'm human. I'm human. At the end of the day, I'm not perfect in any way, but alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us a structure
Yeah.
and a guidance, a clear guidance.
Yeah.
Don't go close to these things. So essentially, Islam prohibits going close to those things. And you know what we realize is that Islamically, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, listen and obey. Hear and obey. Sam'na wa ata'na. Listen and obey. You don't need the explanation. Fair enough. Explanation is good. It helps us to understand why certain things are prohibited. But the first stage is just listen and obey. Then, when you're already listening and obeying, then when you actually start to research why are certain things prohibited, like riba, interest, and it opens your eyes at, wow, there's so much damage to society from riba and interest.
Why? Why is riba and interest so bad when the entire financial system in the world is based on it?
Because what you'll see is that the people that started promoting interest, they, over last several thousands of years, they started, because of that practice of taking interest, what happens is when they go into society and they start charging interest for loans, etc., what happens is gradually over time, they start to appropriate the assets of that society, because that's how interest works, okay? When you introduce it into society, the flow of assets starts to slowly and gradually compound towards the people that are charging interest. And that's exactly what happened.
But other people would argue it's the same thing with the Islamic financing. There's also an indirect form of interest, which is murabaha.
So it's like if it's strict Islamic finance, then it should not be the same at all. Murabaha is it's Islamically permissible because there's a set price. And you cannot charge more than that. You can't change, okay, after 5 years, I'm going to charge you more. It's a set price. Interest is continually charged on how much you owe. And I saw an example yesterday. There's a girl from America. She was talking about her student loans. Her student loans were about $24,000. She graduated 10 years ago. And she's paid back about $35,000. And she checked her balance. And somehow she still owes around $60,000 because of the interest accrued, and that's madness.
Yeah.
She's going to end up paying at least 5 times more than the loan that she took.
Yeah.
If it was a murabaha transaction, right, the bank would say, okay, your loan is, you need £24,000 pounds loan. In order for us to make profit, right, we're going to give you a product. We're going to essentially, what you're buying is a university degree, right? We're going to give you your degree, but we're going to charge you $30,000.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And then they're going to break it up over years and things like that. That's it. They cannot ever charge you more than $30,000.
So basically what you're saying is that following this method of traditional interest, or let's say modern interest, the rich just becomes richer. The rich become richer. The poor will stay in debt and will continuously pay in debt, and the gap will become bigger. And eventually, at some point, it will become almost modern day slavery.
Essentially, yeah. Well, that's what you're seeing in the West, right? In the West, what you're seeing is exactly as you said. The middle class is disappearing, right? So you're having people that are working and barely making they're able to live.
Yeah.
Right? They're paying for everything on interest, their car loan, their mortgage, and people are telling them that, oh, your mortgage is the best loan that you're ever going to get, best decision. But by the time they end up paying the loan after 30 years, they'll have paid maybe 300 or 400%.
Yeah.
Tell me that's a good deal. That does make it sound like a good deal to me. And then you have the wealthy. And I wouldn't even call it the rich, because there's nothing inherently wrong with being rich. What is inherently wrong is if you're becoming rich through means that are just wrong to society, that damage society. And that is what interest is. If you're becoming rich through interest, pure interest, then that is wrong. If you're wealthy because of business and ethical practices, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
This is another mindset that, alhamdulillah, I'm really glad is being talked about more, is the fact that some Muslims think that being poor is inherently more rewarding than being a wealthy Muslim. There's nothing in our deen, in our Islam, that teaches us being poor is better than being wealthy. If you're a wealthy Muslim and you give towards sadaqah and charity and you practice your business ethically, you are better than a poor Muslim.
Yeah.
Because you are giving more wealth to the poor. You are creating change in society that is benefiting people more than someone who is just barely making their means and can't give like anything to charity.
Yeah.
On the day of judgment, you'll be rewarded more because if a wealthy Muslim, they've given lots and lots of charity, they are going to be rewarded more for that.
Yeah.
So this is a mindset that, alhamdulillah, there's talked a lot more about in the young Muslim entrepreneurship circles, the brothers who are practicing, they're also doing really well financially and business wise. They're talking more about this fact that you are not inherently better as a poor Muslim. You should be working hard, graft, work hard, build a business, become financially successful, and then give back to society, and then you will be better. You'll be rewarded more.
So what are the best assets for a Muslim, or what are the best investment choices for a Muslim?
So
in your opinion?
Best is subjective. What we teach in our agency is diversification. So we diversify into all traditional assets: stocks, crypto, gold, property, and some alternative assets. One of our team members, actually, Allah Mubarak, amazing brother, he's a revert and lives in London. And he has expertise not only just in property, he runs a property firm, riba-free property firm in London and South Africa and Dubai. He helps some of our clients get property in Dubai as well. But he also has a huge amount of knowledge in Pokemon cards, luxury watches. Like, Jewel obviously has a huge amount of knowledge in luxury watches. So he's traded luxury watches and things like Pokemon cards and stuff like that. Where you think, like, what money is in Pokemon cards? Yeah. But there's actually some really good profit in Pokemon cards. Yeah. If you buy some good packs and you get a good cards and they're looked after and they're good condition, you buy them, you hold them for a couple of years, and you can sell them for like a good profit.
My take, and this is my own analysis, if I have to really break it down in very simple terms on the difference between halal wealth generation and, let's say, traditional modern wealth generation, is that the halal wealth generation, in the halal wealth generation, the premise is that whatever you're investing in or buying has to have a beginning and an end point. It has to be finite in the sense that it cannot just continuously grow positively or negatively. Meaning that, like you said, in murabaha, if something has a fixed amount, khalas, that's fixed amount. You buy it, you sell it, this is how trade happens.
Yes, exactly.
But the way that I see it, and I even actually had a conversation with ChatGPT about this, is that with the traditional one, it's just like unlimited, it's open-ended.
Yes.
And the fact that the US and central banks just keep printing currency whenever they want, that in itself is the biggest vice, because 100%. You are causing a complete imbalance of the unit, or let's say the tool of trading, the unit of trading,
currency,
the currency.
Yes.
And it's making some people richer and a lot of other people poor. And it's also affecting the cost of things, right? Because it's when you just print more fiat currency, you're obviously decreasing the value because you're putting more in the market. Yeah. And then it got me thinking into crypto and how it really, some currencies, some crypto coins are actually based on a very Islamic fundamental, is that there's a fixed amount. This is what it is. There could be no more than that. And it's traded between parties. And then obviously they're doing their own businesses with this currency. Exactly. Is that why you endorse crypto?
100%. Yeah. So one question we get a lot from new clients is that, Mazz, what's the permissibility of crypto? And I'm like, I generally like to push the clients to, we give them access to the tools so that they can make their own decision. I'm not a scholar, although we have access to some very good Islamic scholars, world-renowned Islamic scholars with an expertise in finance, Islamic finance. So we have access to that. But what my aim is to give them the tools so that they can make their own decision. So I say to them, listen, compare, just exactly as you said, just Bitcoin. Compare Bitcoin with fiat currency, right? Bitcoin, you cannot print more Bitcoin. It has a set amount and no more will ever be created, right? So it's a set amount. You cannot print more. It cannot be destroyed. So when you buy crypto, it's there and it's you own it.
It's incredibly transparent.
Exactly. On the blockchain, it's completely transparent, right?
You can't mess
Even
with the blockchain.
if you compare it, like a couple of years ago, Gold 2.0 was the fad, right? They were calling Bitcoin Gold 2.0, and in many ways it is, right? But the unit of transaction back 2,000 years ago, at the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, was gold and silver, right? So gold and silver is nothing like fiat currency. People can say, oh, gold, more can be mined and stuff like that. Yeah,
exactly.
Fine. More can be mined, but there is an inherent understanding that there is a finite amount of gold in the world.
Yes.
Right? You can't compare that to fiat. They can print as much
and it's incredibly hard to mine.
Yes, exactly.
Just like the same way you can mine Bitcoin, it's incredibly hard and incredibly difficult. So by the time it gets to the hands of people that are doing business, it's a process.
Exactly. And
not like fiat currency. It's just push button and then you have extra zeros in your bank account.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the issue. So I personally don't believe you can even compare fiat and at least Bitcoin. Obviously, there's thousands of other cryptos being made every day. Yeah. So I'm not talking about any of those. I'm talking about Bitcoin.
Those are shit coins.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Or meme coins.
So Bitcoin inherently, if you understand the fundamentals, what we aim to teach our delegates and our clients is that, listen, do your research, understand what Bitcoin is. Until you take the time to research and expand your understanding of what Bitcoin is, what it does, why are people buying it, why is it valuable, then until that point you're going to be ignorant. So take that time and learn, and then you will understand better, like anything else in life.
Isn't it fascinating how when you think about currency, Bitcoin or fiat, it's really the value, it's just the perceived value that we give it.
Yeah.
If we all in a community agree that this is the currency that we're going to use to trade, then so be it. You know, that's the value that we're giving it. And obviously there are, let's say, mechanisms to protect it from being corrupted, which is the finite amount and other, like, for example, the blockchain, etc. But I was having this discussion with someone else, a friend of mine, and he's like, yes, your statement about currency being the perceived value that we give it is absolutely right, because there's an island, forgot the name of the island, where they all agree that stones is the a currency that they use to trade, and they all live a proper good life, but they decided, all of them together, that stones is what they're going to use, and whoever has specific types of stones, this is their currency. I need to look up the island. I forgot what it's called, but it just goes to show you that it's also a bit of a wake-up call into how you can break free from traditional modern banking system. But this is my question to you. How does a person that is stuck in riba break free from it?
The first point is the intention. Okay, I have this conversation so many times with clients. Is that I'll give you two examples. Right, first is hijrah. Right, I was born and raised in a non-Muslim country. Right, most of the people that I was raised with think that moving to a Muslim country is a crazy idea. It's like, how are we going to do that? How are we going to afford it? And all this kind of stuff. Until you make the decision that I really want to move and leave this country, you're not going to find avenues out. So once I made the intention, you know what, I am seriously considering leaving the West and I want to move to a Muslim country. And I started to actually think about the avenues. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you opportunities. And alhamdulillah, that's exactly what happened. Exact same thing for mortgages. Most Muslims who have a mortgage will think, oh, it's impossible, I can't get out of a mortgage, where am I going to live? And what's going to happen to my children? And then I'm going to have to pay rent, which might be a little bit higher than my mortgage payments. Until you make the intention that I want to get rid of my mortgage, a serious intention, then once you make that intention, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will find you a way out. That's categorically what happens.
So you really think it's just purely based on intention?
Not purely, that's the first step. It's the first step.
Yeah.
It's the first step.
What would be the following step?
And then the following step is is thinking about it and thinking of avenues. The point is that once you start thinking seriously about avenues out, then the opportunities present themselves, right? For example, we're talking about mortgages. I have some clients that have said to me, okay, Mazz, for example, this client was presented with a mortgage, very young dentist. They were just starting their career. Everyone is telling them, oh, Mazz, I really want to you should get a mortgage. You're just starting your career, get a mortgage. You have stability and then you'll be okay. And then everything else in your life is going to be cushy, right? And they said to me, Mazz, I really don't want to get a mortgage. What should I do? I said, okay, listen. You make the decision. You're not going to get a mortgage. I'm telling you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will find you a way out, right? After that point, they were able to find a very small apartment that was just big enough for them and their wife. Mm-hmm. They borrowed money they had a bit of savings, say £20,000 or whatever. They put the £20,000 in. They took the rest, say £30,000 or £40,000 from family, and they bought the apartment very small in cash. They renovated it a little bit just so that it's comfortable, just for a couple and no more. Mm-hmm. And they grafted work for the next couple of years. And then they were able to upsize the slightly bigger apartment that's probably big enough for them and maybe one or two children. And it's still at a push, maybe a little bit cramped, but it's just big enough. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you the number of families and people that I know that live in that kind of environment where they are living in a small apartment or a small house that's barely big enough for them and their family, but they own that house outright. They don't have a mortgage. I am telling you the number of families I have seen that they have more happiness in their home. Their children are healthier. Their children are more well-rounded. Their children, you'll see something is protecting them from all of the vices of society. Their sons are avoiding all of the bad vices like drugs and gangs and all that kind of stuff. Something is protecting them, and the daughters are being protected from promiscuity. Mm-hmm. And it's like, what is protecting these people? And you realize that it's the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because they made a difficult decision. From the outside, they're living in this small apartment. From the outside, it looks like they're barely making it by. Mm-hmm. And then on the other hand, I know families who have a big empire, right? They own multiple franchises of a shop, right? Of a big shop. And they live on the outside. They have multiple houses for each family. Brother and the family has their own big house. They all drive brand new Mercedes. Every year, 2 years, they swap out the Mercedes. They drive a brand new Mercedes, and they've got all these kind of luxuries. And the children always have the newest phones, etc. And from the outside, you will see, they look successful. But I'm telling you, when you have a deeper knowledge of what is happening, you will realize that these people have a lot of bad things happening inside their home. Drama, all sorts of bad things. Divorce, and husband and wife are not getting along, and their sons are getting involved in bad things, and the daughters are doing things that we don't even want to think about. You understand? So this is the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the point is that these people who are living that wealthy lifestyle have funded their entire lifestyle from riba. They have mortgages in all of their homes. The cars are all unfinanced, right? From interest, all of the shops are owned from debt, etc.
So basically, what you're trying to say is that with riba, you will never find barakah in your life.
Never. I'm telling you. And even if...
And you say it so confidently, because I've heard you say it so many times on all your content, and it seems like you're really speaking out of conviction, because you've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it from my clients. I've seen it from my family. I've seen it from the community that I grew around. Yeah. All of these stories are from the people that I grew up around.
Yeah.
Another example, right? There was a family that lived very close to me. And alhamdulillah, my father's a doctor. He was able to take us out from a really bad kind of area in Glasgow, in Scotland, and move us to a nicer area of Scotland. So this area is in Glasgow, sorry. So this area is a little bit more upper market. So generally, it's mostly professionals that live in that area. Yeah. But there was one family that lived there, right? And it was essentially it was a single mother, and she had like 5 children who were in their teens. And growing up, we knew that they weren't comfortable financially. They're always a bit of a struggle, right? From what I understand, several of the siblings had to sleep in the same bedroom and that kind of stuff, right? And what we saw is that the blessing of their sacrifice, of the mother's sacrifice, produced children that were like that, siblings that are like that, right? Very close. And siblings that went on to not only be protected from the evils of society, gangs and drugs and alcohol and all that kind of stuff, they went on to study the deen. They went to South Africa, studied for several years, became a scholar in his own right. Now he leads, he's an imam in the masajid, right? And that blessing has only happened from the sacrifice of the righteous mother.
Yeah.
Through just not taking mortgages when she could have maybe taken a mortgage and things like that, from sacrifice. We know this, Muhammad, man. We know this, that sacrifice produces good things.
Yeah.
Nothing good comes without sacrifice. One of my tutors at university used to tell me that when you're grinding through your exams, just remember that nothing easy is good for you. And nothing good for you is easy.
Right.
So sacrifice is
and
what
I mean,
produces benefits.
I think this is why, for example, in Islam, it's considered one of the major sins, riba, because from what you're saying is that you've seen at firsthand how much bad energy it brings. But then again, what would be your answer to someone that would argue, well, I don't have access to any other financing methods. I live in a country that's fully controlled and established by traditional modern financing, and if I want to buy a house, I'm limited with the options. What do they do? Like, I mean, I know you said that they'll have to move to a Muslim country or something, but not everyone has those means.
Absolutely. That's one option, to move to a Muslim country. So 2 points I want to make. The standard of living in the UAE is, you're saying that you have those two divides. You have the wealthy, and then you have the working class, right?
Yes.
In the West. That's very true. Actually, what I've seen in the UAE is that you can live at any standard, going from the basics, right?
Yeah.
You literally share a room with other 5-6 other guys. You've got a bunk bed. You at least have a roof over your head, and you have access to shower and clean water, right? And you have a job, right? That's at the bottom end. Yeah. And then at every step,
so
there's a level
the
up.
bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So at least you've got your basics.
Yes, exactly, right? And then there's literally step ups every step of the way. There's no like crazy big divide. There's people living slightly better living. Maybe they have their own studio apartment that's tiny. It's like a tiny little room, but they've got their own space. Yeah. And then maybe the next, every step up, you understand what I'm saying, right? And then obviously you have the people who are living, on the palm and all that kind of stuff, and they've got their own villa and that kind of stuff, right? But you don't see that in the West. You see that divide, okay? And then the point I'm making about there's always a way out, even in the West. If the thing that people are not willing to do is sacrifice. So if someone is truly intent on avoiding riba at all costs, then what you have to do is you have to accept that you're going to rent. You're going to rent, okay? Accept that fact. Yes, your rent technically monthly compared to if you get a mortgage might be slightly higher, okay? But this is the sacrifice that you are going to make in order to avoid riba, avoid all of the tangible and intangible evils and damage of riba on your life, okay? So what they're going to do is they're going to rent. And as I said, you are going to rent something small, just affordable for you. Maybe you need to move to a city where you can find something like that. You don't get many choices at the beginning when you're making sacrifice, when you're building yourself. A beggar doesn't have choices, but that's essentially what you are at the beginning. And what you're going to do is you're going to graft, you're going to work hard, and inshallah, you are going to continually upgrade your life. So get a small, tiny apartment that is just barely big enough for you and your wife, and you're going to graft, and you're going to work, and you're going to increase your income and your salary, and then maybe upsize a little bit, and then eventually save up, and then until you can maybe buy a small apartment with cash, right? So you don't have rent to pay, and then you don't have mortgage. You at least own your own apartment in cash, even if it's small. It's always possible, but people are not willing to make that sacrifice, or they are, and then they make that sacrifice and they reap all the rewards in this life and the next, right? So you're either going to make that sacrifice and you're going to suffer in this life and you get reward in the next life,
Yeah.
or you're going to make that sacrifice, and inshallah, maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows you to reap the reward in this life and the next life.
Yeah. But I think the fundamental part of everything that you're saying is that the person has to have faith.
Absolutely.
If
Absolutely.
that faith is not there, if you are not fully 100% convinced that what you are doing is for the greater good and to get the blessing of Allah and to just basically do what is right and avoid this major sin, then there's really, like you said, there's just going to be a bad energy around you, around your family the entire time. But you mentioned something very interesting also on one of your, I think, podcasts. You said, don't get me started on Islamic banks because they're not so Islamic.
At least in the West.
Yeah, at least but why is that?
So again, I don't know the full structuring of Islamic banking in the GCC and the Muslim countries. I do know that they're better because I've done quite a bit of research. I was looking into myself about the Islamic financing methods. They're definitely better. But in the West, what I know about Islamic mortgages, for example, right? They will tell you some of the structuring of these Islamic mortgages are very cheeky. They will structure the mortgage in exactly the same way as a traditional mortgage, and they will change the interest to a profit rate. Right? They will just change the wording so the interest is not interest anymore, it's a profit rate, but it's structured in exactly the same way.
Yeah.
For example, you will be charged a set 5% profit rate, and then after 5 years, they will readjust the profit rate. That's clear riba. From my perspective. Someone's made a deal with you to buy a house, you've bought the house, why are you changing the structure of the deal after 5 years? That should not be happening. If it's going to be true Islamic finance, like murabaha, right? If you buy a property for 500,000 dirhams, the bank buys a property, they charge you 600,000 dirhams.
Yeah.
And then they make you pay over time. There should not be any change in how much you're paying the bank back.
Yeah.
Not be any change in the profit rate.
And from your end, when you're looking at halal building principles, when you from your end, when you look at halal wealth building principles, and you want to choose an investment, what are the first few things that you look at in order to make the best investment and also the most, let's say, Sharia compliant?
So when I talked about the industries, that's the first thing. Obviously, avoid the main industries, but that's mostly relevant for the stock market, right? When you're talking about gold is almost categorically halal. The only restriction is Islamically, the purchase of gold has to happen at the same time as the transfer of money. So you receive the gold and you give the money on the same transaction.
Yeah.
What is impermissible for the buying of gold is if the transaction of money happens at a later time or a later date than when you receive the gold. And there has to be physical transaction of gold. It can't be like in the air or anything like that, right? So gold is categorically permissible. Crypto, again, we've talked about crypto, about at least Bitcoin. Forget about the rest of the poo coins and all this other stuff, right? At least Bitcoin, if you look at the fundamentals, you can say that is more halal than fiat currency, right? So I had this amazing document written by a scholar about the permissibility of Bitcoin. I've been trying to find it, but it was really good. It went in depth about the permissibility of Bitcoin, comparing it to fiat currency and why Bitcoin is potentially more halal than fiat currency, right? So at least Bitcoin and gold, you can say easily that's understandable why it's halal, okay?
Yeah.
Property. Yes, in property, you have mortgages, but property as a base asset, if you are buying it in cash, it's halal.
Yeah.
Nobody can argue that, right?
Yeah.
And then we have some amazing brothers, right? I don't know if you've heard of Sam Amin. No. And then there's some other brothers who run. So what these guys do is that they will take investors' cash, say $100,000 from several investors, raise say $4 million. They will buy a plot of land. They will build a development. They will get occupancy for that development, say 70-80% occupancy, and then they will sell the entire plot to an a big investor. For profit, they will take 50% and they will give the investor 50%.
Yeah.
Zero riba. And bro, the profit that you can make from these deals is way more than the usual 8-10% that people talk about on the stock market.
And
or
even the 8
index funds.
10% gets eaten up by inflation.
Absolutely.
So you're technically not really doing
Yeah.
anything
You're making
And-
maybe 4 or 5% after inflation.
at best.
Yeah.
But what would you say is the most overlooked, simple, easy, and accessible halal investment option? What would you say is the most overlooked one?
The easiest one I would say is gold.
Gold,
People
huh?
massively underestimate
But you don't
gold.
make much money from gold.
You can over the long term.
Over the long term.
Everything we teach and we the angle we come from is all long term.
So you never look at short-term
We
gains.
very rarely. I mean, short term, we're talking about 6 months, maybe up to 2 years.
Yeah.
Sometimes we make a few trades here and there, but the vast majority of what we want to push our clients to is long term.
You know what I get from... Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, go ahead.
No, you know what I get from you is this idea, and it's embedded, I think, in your mentality and in your company, that it's a process and it's a journey, and you have to go through it, and there is no such thing as overnight wins,
100%.
and that you will have to develop the patience for it because that's just how life is. And I think the reason why you probably and the other brothers believe in this is because sometimes, because the nature of a human being is inherently greedy, you know, like especially when the devil, you know, plays with your mind, short-term wins and big wins can really corrupt your mind. But when you go through the struggle, it kind of becomes a beautiful struggle when hindsight.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, wow, I remember the day when it was this, and then I remember when we were in that, and then I upgraded to this, and I upgraded to that. It's just, you know, like a beautiful struggle that you just enjoy. Maybe at that time it's a little bit hard, but in hindsight, when you get to a place of comfort and when you're a bit, let's say, satisfied, sufficed,
Yeah.
you have this contentment
Yeah.
that is just very difficult to get otherwise.
At the end of the
Correct
day,
me if I'm wrong.
You know, that's 100% true. At the end of the day, what we had to do as an agency is we had to create a formula that was reproducible, that could produce reproducible results for anyone that we take on as clients, where we have a very, very strict application process. So we reject like 90% of people that apply. But if they come
Why
on board,
so?
say again?
Why so? If you don't
Because
mind me.
we are essentially, our requirements is that we want to prioritize working with people that we can change their lives. And yes, we want to focus on the long term, but we kind of want to be able to do so in the next 10 to 15 years. And as I said, I'm talking about with regards to reproducibility of this formula. It can only really happen if you're making a certain amount of money a year. And generally it's around six figures, $1,000. So about $100,000 is where we can basically say, if you work with us, we can essentially, if you just stick to our formula, we will help you become, the term we use is work optional within 10 to 15 years. It's going to happen.
It's really not that bad.
It's not that bad at all.
10, 15 years
Not
is
bad at all.
nothing at all if you think about it.
Not at all. If you think about someone graduating from university, right? 25
Exactly.
years old,
At
15 years is 40.
at 35 or 36, he's just work optional.
Exactly.
He decides to...
Exactly. Rather than, what's the other option, right? Especially for our clients who are mostly from the UK and the West, is retirement at 65 or 70 years old.
Who the hell wants to work till that age?
That's option B. Right? Some people say, "Oh, long-term investing. I can't delay gratification that long."
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, fine. Stick to your pension, which you'll
Yeah.
take at 70 years old.
Yeah.
What other option do you have?
You know what pisses me off the most?
Yeah.
Is about also all these useless books that talk, and one of them, I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this, but this is my hot take. I don't care. Tommy Robbins' book. Was it Tommy Robbins? That's his name? I forgot. The big guy, the big tall guy.
Yeah.
He talks about like all the small, like little, it's basically this very frugal mentality.
Okay.
Where you have to like really save here and there about bits and pieces, but not forgetting the overall idea that wealth generation is not made only through that.
100%.
Wealth generation is made through a whole shift in mentality, shift in the way that you think about business, and like you said, straying away from things that are riba. Because maybe if you start shifting your mentality on how you create wealth through businesses and other things, you're not going to have to rely on the stock market only as your method of, becoming wealthy. Because that's really what he mentions in his book, is that you have to rely a lot on the stock market. And I don't think that's...
Not at all.
It's an option, but it should be a very small one. Because like you said, there are many other options. So how do you teach your clients or change the shift or cause a shift in mentality and having an abundance mentality rather than just being frugal about everything?
So we what we teach is that there's two factors that need to come into play for this, right? Frugality has its place, but you're right that it's not the only key to the puzzle, right? You need to be reasonably frugal that's sustainable.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, we are human. Most of my clients are, they're making six figures, etc., etc., and they need to live enough of a comfortable lifestyle where they don't feel like, I'm
missing out.
Yeah, I'm missing it. Exactly. They're missing out, right? So they need to live a comfortable enough lifestyle where people don't look at them and think, wow, he's poor, right? Because he's just saving so much. But so they need to live a comfortable enough lifestyle, but also save enough that they can invest aggressively for the next 10 to 15 years so that they can achieve the ability to become work optional. And then if they choose by 35, 40 years old to never work again, they can make that decision. So there's two parts, right? You need to be frugal enough, right? For example, there's an extreme, right? We had one client, a young dentist in her mid-30s. She was making about, say, $20,000 a month as a medical professional, and she was spending about $20,000 a month.
Wow.
She was making $20,000, going straight out buying handbags, hotel rooms, and all sorts, right? So I said, listen, I understand. At a certain point, you need to live comfortably. This is at this trajectory, you're not going to retire anytime soon. You're going to retire at 70.
Yeah.
Like, what are you leaving for yourself? You can either cut down on your spending, even spend $10,000 less, and you'll still be comfortable, right? Listen, realistically, who do you know that needs to spend $10,000 a month? And, she's living by herself, right?
Yeah.
Who needs to spend $10,000 on themselves every single month to be happy, right? So realistically, just cut down and invest, and then in a few years, you'll be able to cut down on work, and then you'll be able to do more things that you want to do. It's either waste your money now and not invest, and then shoot yourself in the foot, and then you're going to retire at 70, or be a little bit frugal, but also invest aggressively, and then you can retire in 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And then you're laughing.
It's very interesting, but it's very hard for people to be convinced of that because it takes patience, it takes time.
It takes delayed
and it takes that
gratification.
willingness to give up maybe a specific lifestyle that you're used to, especially at a younger age, because you want to travel, you want to experience, you want to do this, you want to do that. Yeah. But my question is about those 20% that are non-Muslims that come to you. I'm actually very curious about those ones in particular. Why do they come to you?
Very interesting. I actually love them so much because they turn out to be so loyal. Like even more loyal than some of our Muslim clients.
Wow.
We've got one...
Tell me more. I'm very curious.
One non-Muslim client who started with us when we first launched 4 years ago. And he's still with us. And it doesn't matter what new part of our ecosystem that I launch, he's always the first there. He's always the first, like, talking about, oh, Mazz, this is an amazing new program or new initiative that you started. I really like it. I like the new content, all that kind of stuff. Like, they're very, very loyal. Allahu Alam. I think it comes down to if they can get past all of the barriers that we put in place. That we only talk about halal investing. We do a lot of inshallahs, alhamdulillah, all that kind of stuff, right? All that terminology. If they can get past that, they actually really like where we're coming from, because at the end of the day, majority of our clients, this is one of the major benefits of our private community, is that because the majority of our clients are Muslims, they're all family oriented, right? They all have similar goals. They all want to prioritize they want to give back to their parents because their parents gave them so much. They want to protect their children. They want to surround their children with a good environment. They want to prioritize their deen. And I think that kind of very warm, welcoming environment is very positive for these kinds of people. Once they get past those initial barriers, they see this environment, they're like, wow, this group is so warm and welcoming.
So they're very fascinated by the virtues of your... But what made them interested in the first place?
So the first place is obviously the general topic of finance and investing is generic for everyone.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of hooks them in first. Okay, this guy's talking about finance, investing. I need to improve my finance and investing. And then at the end of the day, everything with regards to social media that we do in podcasts, right? It's to get our brand out there so more people can see us. And then the people that relate the strongest to us are the ones that are going to go down the funnel. And then they might eventually join us as a client. That's essentially what the point is. And that's exactly what happens. They see us on a podcast or content on social media, and they're like, well, I like what this guy's talking about. Yeah. And they consume more content, and they consume more content, and then they eventually become our client.
Wow. And these guys, and it's they're both equal, men and women, or is it just usually... I'm actually curious about the gender distribution with as part of your community.
I think normally it's always going to be a little bit more men, but we have actually, I think we have about 30 to 40% women.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah, and it's great. And we have periods where it's mostly women joining us.
Really?
Like around December, January, February, it was mostly women.
Wow.
Young Muslim dentists, doctors, that kind of stuff, and mashallah, very, very motivated. You know what really annoys me sometimes?
What?
Is they will join and they're like, oh, I'm trying to get my husband to invest and get into your program as well.
So it's the females that are... Wow.
It's like, bro, listen, your husband is one that's responsible for you. Why is he not taking the initiative?
Yeah.
But
subhanallah, that maybe that's Allah bless this guy with a righteous woman that's lifting him up rather than pulling him down.
And the other thing is we get to see the in-depth financial structure of these families and how they work.
So eye-opening, isn't it?
Very eye-opening. Some of the things that I get to see, but
what's the craziest thing you've seen? Something that you still can't process till now.
I think it probably was that client that was like spending $20,000 a month. Like I don't even know what I would spend $20,000 on.
Especially if you're in your 30s and you're not married.
Oh man, like
that's crazy. I mean, you can, but like,
yes, you can.
I always say this. After a specific threshold, life is kind of the same.
It is 100%.
Really, life is the same. If you can buy a Ferrari, and then you can buy a Pagani, and then you can buy I don't know what, but like you're still.
I realized that when I moved here, right?
Yeah.
So alhamdulillah, I live for what I'm spending per month. I live in, I would say, competitively one of the most beautiful areas. Yeah. If you saw my view, Allah, right? Come over inshallah for coffee.
Inshallah.
But and then obviously when I want to treat myself, I'll rent a supercar for a few days or a week or so. And after a certain while, I've driven so many different supercars. I'm like, I don't actually get that enjoyment anymore.
Yeah.
You know why I rent the supercars now?
Yeah.
Is because when my 4-year-old son sits in the passenger seat and I put my foot down and his face goes like that is why I rent this car. Why I spend 1,000, 2,000 dirhams a day on supercars. Because when I see his face, then it gives me satisfaction. I don't actually get any more satisfaction from it. Because after a certain time, as you said, this is the reality of material goods, right? I just don't. It's nice to drive a nice car, but I don't get any more satisfaction from it from driving my nice like sedan.
Yeah,
I mean, it's comfortable. It's got cruise control.
It's reliable.
It's got good AC, right? Yeah. And it's comfortable over bumps.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, so I'm happy either way.
So basically, it's like you said, consumerism and materialism just really sometimes poisons the mind. Absolutely. Which brings me to my next topic, which is this whole hustle culture that is just taking over, and all this garbage and crap that you see on social media and on media in general. Why do you believe that hustle culture, as opposed to, let's call it barakah culture, is a trap? why do you feel like it's designed to be very toxic?
Because from the onset, they're marketing the wrong things. Everything they're marketing is nice cars, posh hotels, material goods.
As opposed to what?
As opposed to, essentially, I mean, this is the difficulty, right? When you have a product that like you're trying to market, it is the best way to market because that's what we find attractive.
Yes.
We find visually appealing things, supercars and women, all that kind of stuff. That's what we find attractive. So that's typically what makes the most money. But what is more rewarding, and one of the difficulties that I find marketing for myself is because I don't market that way. So I will occasionally show some aspects of my lifestyle, but 90% of my lifestyle is behind the camera. Nobody knows a fraction of the blessings that I have because I don't show it, right? But those blessings are having a family that are healthy and happy. Wallahi, my brother, I'm telling you, I can't explain in words the blessings that I feel, and the blessings that I have in my life are not associated with money. The things that I have in my, if I made 100x of what I make now, it wouldn't change the blessings that I have. Because the blessings that I have now is when I go back home now, when I open my front door, my daughter, my 2-year-old daughter will run to the front door. She'll go, Abi, and then she'll raise her hands and I'll throw in the air and she'll cuddle me and she'll give me a kiss, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I know many people that don't have that blessing, right? Whether it's because, they have problems at home and the problems with their wife, or the children, they've not raised their kids in a certain way, or even the children don't have health. The children are stuck in the hospital bed somewhere because they're unwell or something like that. Wallahi, man, my brother, I'm telling you, the blessings that I force myself to appreciate every single day are those small blessings. It's not the money. It's not my view. I love my view. I love my view so much. And I'm telling you, proportionally to how much I spend, it's crazy. But the things that I appreciate are my family, my children, having a healthy wife, a wife that supports me. Yeah. Right? Not one that's constantly on my
Things
back.
money can't buy. Have you ever heard of the gardener mindset versus a carpenter mindset?
No, go ahead.
So it's a very interesting take on things, and I actually I want to gift you a book, and I don't know, maybe you've read it. It's called The Barakah Effect by Muhammad Faris. I think that's his name, or Faris Muhammad. I forgot. Whatever. Apologies if you're watching this. But he mentioned something about the carpenter mindset and the gardener mindset, and he says that the whole premise of having barakah and just good energy in your life as a Muslim, especially when you're creating wealth, is that you should develop a gardener mindset as opposed to a carpenter mindset, because a gardener mindset is very different in the fundamental outlook on life. A gardener has to have a lot of patience, and he has to nurture whatever he's doing. And then it may or may not work, because the whole idea is that it's a living organism and it's Allah's will whether it dies or lives. A carpenter mindset is basically, I need to get it done quickly, exactly like that, in that specific time, and I control the outcome. When you shift from a carpenter mindset to a gardener mindset, you become at ease. You become very comfortable with life, and you sort of submit your fate to the Almighty, or whatever else you want to believe, any other God that you believe in. Because for non-Muslims, I mean. Because if you continuously think, and I was a big victim of that you can control and design every single outcome of your life, you are going to be very tired and very exhausted. And sooner or later, you're going to realize that you actually have control over nothing. The only way that you can, let's say, sway things in your favor is through manifestation, prayers, dua, etc. But essentially, you cannot control. And you cannot be a carpenter all the time, and you should develop a gardener mindset, because that's just the better way of living, and that's a more comfortable way. And even your soul becomes more at ease. And I think this is also kind of what you guys indirectly teach, is, like we said, no short-term gains, but more long-term, and you should be patient, and sooner or later, you're going to get what's yours, basically.
It's a beautiful analogy because one other thing that the gardener does is that he plants something
Exactly.
and he doesn't know if he's going to be able to benefit from it.
Exactly.
He's planting something for the future, for maybe someone else to benefit
Generational wealth.
Yes.
And that's exactly, I think, why you guys and many other people that promote halal wealth building focus a lot on family, right? So I actually wanted to ask you this is, what's your take and how do you guys approach, let's say, maybe a family office that wants to design the wealth to be passed on in a specific way so that it's, let's say, this is the question that I wanted to ask you is, how do you guys approach, for example, maybe family offices that would come to you as clients to design or develop a way where the wealth could be passed on to generations without having the risk of it being lost by specific people?
This is a really complex question. I think the first thing that it comes down to is having the structures in place, whether it's trusts or companies, etc., that if they're for example, if they're giving it down to their children, that their children cannot waste it. I'll give you an example of myself that what I'm teaching my children. Right, is I understand that I have to teach my children about hard work and the value of money, and that money comes with hard work. Okay, so if I teach my children, for example, I had a really good friend actually from the organization, from the war room, right? From Glasgow. He said to me that I am not going to give my son anything until he has made his first million. Until my son has made his first million, then maybe he will get an inheritance. So for me, I don't really believe in giving my son any major inheritance. I believe in giving him the skills that will make him 7-8 figure entrepreneur. And I will do everything I can to give him those skills. So
when is he entitled to get this then?
He's entitled when he has built his own empire. And even then, I can't remember who I saw it from, but it was about the concept was never giving any handouts to your children, your sons, daughters. Well, obviously, right? I'll give my daughters everything. My wife, gets really angry at me because whenever my daughter says anything, I'll say, yeah, don't worry, I'll get you that, right? Yeah. But when my son says something, I'll say, you have to work hard. You have to graft. You understand? Look, everything that we have is because of the things that I did, the hard work that I put in place. Yeah. You have to work hard if you want to achieve this. He says to me, I'm going to buy an Aston Martin. I'm like, okay, sure, inshallah. When you work hard, when you've built a business, when you've made that money, then you can buy it. No problem at all. Yeah. I want that for you, but it's not going to come without hard work. And then my daughter says to me, and then my wife says, oh, what if your daughter said, I want a pony? I'm like, yeah, go on, I'll get a pony. I'll buy her entire stables. Yeah. You understand? But yeah, it comes down to education, right? Yeah. If a couple come to me and say, listen, I want generational wealth, I want to preserve my wealth for my children, etc. Fine. Again, I'm not the one to sit them and tell them, oh, don't give your children your inheritance. If that's what you want to do, teach them, make sure they have the financial education to not waste your wealth at the very minimum. Yeah. Okay. And then I would highly encourage a certain structure that puts the wealth in the hands of someone responsible after you pass away. So that, yes, it's owned by your children or they have access to it, but only via a very responsible person who will not allow them to waste it.
Or institution.
Or an institution, exactly. Okay. So the point is, don't give your children 7-figure investment portfolio when they're 18. Your son, what's an 18-year-old? Unless he has been taught and developed with the skills to invest it or build out his own business. For example, right? You know everything that we are doing, right? Entrepreneurship and business and marketing and sales, right? All these skills that we have developed and communication skills. They're not taught in school, right? I wasn't taught this. I learned this literally over the last 10 years. Communication and marketing and sales and all these entrepreneurship and how to manage a business, how to manage staff. I learned this over the last 10 years. I'm 33, right? And I think to myself, what would happen if I taught all of these skills to my son? He's 4 years old now. What if I slowly start teaching them to him now, gradually, when he's 5, 7, 10, 12, 13 years old? What position will he be in by the time he's 16 years old or 18 years old? What if I show him and teach him about AI automation and programming and get him to sell small things off eBay or Dubizzle over the next 10 years, small things, and teach him those skills? What position is he going to be in by the time he's 18 years old? Is he going to be the kind of son that goes and buys a Lamborghini with his parents' inheritance and wastes it all? Or is he going to be the one like, okay, I see the bigger picture. And my father taught me delayed gratification. So I'm going to invest this money. I'm going to build businesses, and I'm going to be financially successful for the rest of my life, not just enjoy the booty of war that I didn't even earn.
What would you say if kids argue that the whole point of building this wealth is so that the family can live comfortable? So that the family can live comfortably. I mean, the idea that maybe kids or the sons have to suffer, I agree. They have to not say suffer, let's say struggle a little bit, but also at some point the whole point of building wealth is to do it for them, right? So don't you think we also kind of owe our sons and our family a little bit of responsibility in terms of helping them come up and support them with this wealth that we built? Because otherwise, who are we giving it to? We're not going to take it to the grave.
That's a good point. Okay, first of all, the thing that our wealth has to go towards is charity, right? Because that is one of the only things that is going to benefit us in the grave, literally.
Yes.
From our deen, that's what we understand, right? If you build mosques and you build madrasas and you build wells in the third world and you build infrastructure that is going to continue to give you reward and blessings when you're in the grave, then that's a categorical win. Second thing is, I actually do believe that sons at least have to suffer, and I use that word very specifically, right? I mean suffer in the way of I need my son to go through hardship, right? Whether it's suffering through like 2 hours of a boxing session with a trainer who's going to push him and make him sweat.
Make him a man.
Yeah, make him a man. Yeah. Or whether it's he's suffering through business, he launches something and it doesn't go very well and he loses money. That's suffering as well.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a lesson.
Again, it's a lesson, but I think boys have to suffer in order to learn. I suffered so much growing up through many ways. Right?
And you think you wouldn't have turned out the same way if you haven't?
100%. That suffering has made me who I am. I'm sure you can say the same.
Yeah,
right?
1000%.
The suffering is what makes us men who we are.
Yeah.
I think it's different for women. I think women have to go through different things. I don't believe that it's healthy for women to suffer.
Absolutely
daughters
not.
at least, right? But boys,
because it puts them in their masculine, and then that's not what
exactly.
That's not how a woman should be treated.
But with regards to what we owe our children, it's a really good question, and I think what we owe our children is a clean bed, a clean space, clean clothes, a roof over their head, and good food.
That's it?
And loving parents.
You don't owe them anything else.
What do you think that we owe our children? I'll tell you if I agree or disagree.
I'll tell you what. I mean, I think we owe our children, I'll speak on my behalf, I owe my son enough support for him to get started at least with his first business. Okay. Obviously, everything else that you mentioned. And I owe him also the responsibility of picking him up if he fails.
Okay.
So I think I owe him these two. I'm trying to think of a third. And I think I owe him just enough that he doesn't feel less than the kids around him. But obviously that means that I would have to make sure that also the kids around him are not too much, and that I'd have to pick the right environment. So I would say those three things. Why? Because if we all have to struggle and if we all have to suffer, then who gets to enjoy it? Right?
Okay,
I mean, Allah's blessing, Allah gives us blessings so that we give back to the community, we contribute to zakah, but also to enjoy His blessings. Like there is like in Arabic, we say وَإِنَّمَا بِنِعْمَةِ رَبِّكَ فَحَدِّث. So
Yeah.
basically, you have to enjoy, you
Yes,
have to make
100%.
use of.
So, okay, I agree. Overall, I agree, right? But what it comes down to is allowing them the enjoyment without them underappreciating it. So my son sits in supercars. I never got to do that when I was his age, when I was 4 years old, right?
Yeah.
But whenever I get the supercar, I make sure I tell him that, listen, this is all does not come without hard work.
Yes.
If you want a Lamborghini, wherever he loves cars. This is my wife's party trick, right? So she will take him for a dinner or whatever, right? And you can show him any car, and he will be able to tell you what it is.
Wow.
The make and the model.
Wow. Crazy.
I don't like. I was like that to a degree. I could tell you the make.
Yeah.
Maybe not the model when I was his age.
Yeah.
But he's taking it to the next
Well,
level.
how old is he again?
He's 4 years old.
He already knows.
He knows almost every car. You can show him the car, and you'll tell the make and the model.
Oh my god!
But so he loves cars, and he loves like Lamborghinis and so. But the thing that I teach him is that you can have this. You can absolutely have this, and I am going to take you on and do very cool things with you, exactly as you said. But I am going to make sure that he understands none of this comes without hard work.
Yeah.
That he is not magically going to achieve or receive any of this without hard work, because that's going to breed an unhealthy attitude towards money and wealth.
Yeah. Do you think that, because you spoke about this a lot, you spoke about having barakah in your life is fundamental in halal wealth building. Do you think that having less, or have you noticed that having less could also mean more, in the sense that you could be having less money but more intention, and as a natural result you'll have more satisfaction? Do you feel that happening with your clients and your customers, or even yourself?
I definitely feel that happening with myself. I feel like every time my income has jumped up, I've forced myself to appreciate what I have before.
Yeah.
I mean, I generally am very good with money. I have to practice what I preach, right? So I preach to my clients that, listen, save comfortably without forcing yourself, and uncomfortable, being frugal, and invest aggressively. So I have to practice what I preach. But every time my income has jumped up, I have forced myself to appreciate the small things without allowing myself to jump up and just buy new things because I want it, because I think that's going to give me good satisfaction. I've thought so many times about buying like a supercar, and I'm like, but it's not.
Do I really need this?
Yeah, do I really need it? I mean, I can afford it, but
yeah,
is it necessary? Is it? And then you know what changes my mind is when I rent a supercar, I drive it for 3-4 days, and I'm like, I'm happy. I've got it out of my system. Got it out of my system, right? Took my son, like when I rent the supercar, I'll drive the 200 kilometers that you're allowed to, right? I took my son for like 2-hour drive towards Fujairah a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
Just because we had the car.
Yeah.
And it was lovely. It was amazing. It was such a lovely experience. But that's what I'll force myself to do.
Yeah.
I'll force myself to appreciate what I have. And then if I really, really want something, then I'll allow myself a treat.
Yeah.
But that is the only way to satisfy that craving. You have to appreciate the small things before you allow yourself the bigger things. Yeah. Otherwise, it just becomes a snowball rolling down the hill, bigger and bigger and bigger, and you just have to buy this and buy that because you think that that's going to give you satisfaction.
Yeah. What is your favorite investment choice for halal wealth generation?
So currently it's property. I mean,
property is your favorite?
In Dubai, you can't really have another asset class that you love more. I think an important point is that obviously we do teach the stock market, and we teach it to a really high degree, like a really in-depth stock market. But the thing about the stock market is that a lot of stocks are not 100% halal, right? So what the Islamic scholars worldwide, the agreement between the vast majority of scholars worldwide is that in order to allow Muslims to invest easier, they have given a certain allowance for stock market or companies, right? So when you are investing into a stock, you have to assess the financial balance sheet and the debt that the company holds, or the income from haram, interest, etc., has to be below a threshold. It's around 5% for interest and things like that.
I didn't know you could actually.
Yeah. So it has to be below a threshold. As long as it's below like 5% or something. It's different for debt and different for interest, income, etc. But as long as it's below a certain threshold, there's actually specific requirements that they will that the scholars explain and that they give allowance for, right?
Okay.
As long as it's below a certain threshold, they say that it's acceptable. You're allowed to invest into it, right? So obviously, this is a fatwa that the vast majority of scholars across the world have given, right? And that's fine, right? And they give that allowance in order to make it easier for Muslims to invest, right? Because if we want to compete with everyone else, we have to be able to grow our wealth in similar ways, right? It's not a blanket allowance to just invest into whatever you want. As long as it's below a certain threshold, then it's permissible according to this fatwa, according to the vast majority of scholars across the world, right?
Yeah.
But then you cannot claim that it's 100% halal, right? It being permissible and being 100% halal are not the same thing.
Yeah.
If you're buying like Nvidia or something and it's below 5% income, interest income, then it's permissible, but it's not 100% halal.
Yeah.
So what I am kind of moving more towards is giving our clients access to assets that are 100% halal.
Yeah.
So we teach them about the stock market. We teach them about the Islamic requirements and the things that you need to check, the thresholds, okay, for each stock that you want to invest into. But we kind of want to push them more towards, listen, if you've got the option, go for something that's 100% halal. And then,
why do you push more towards that? Just because
that's just the better option. If you've got the option, then that's the better option.
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
Something that's 100% halal,
as opposed to something that's permissible.
It's permissible, but it still involves like 5%, 5%. And even then, you can make many arguments. Like even that 5%, the scholars recommend that at the end of 12 months, you should calculate how much profit that you've made from that stock that has been from impermissible income, from interest and debt, and then give that in charity. And that purges your portfolio. So technically it's 100% halal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can make lots of arguments, but the point I'm making is that I see a lot more opportunity in property. Not just because it's 100, you can have structures that are 100% halal, and the opportunities we have in the GCC for Sharia compliant mortgages, and they've removed, I don't know if you saw, they removed the late fees from contracts in mortgages and halal financing.
I mean, I mainly use Islamic. Not mainly. I shifted to all Islamic banks. Alhamdulillah. And
so what a lot of people don't realize is that, you know, on a contract like a financing contract, even in halal mortgages, right, or halal finance, if it's got late fees, that also Islamically that counts as riba.
Okay.
Right, but I don't know if it was the GCC or I think it's mainly Emirat. They removed the allowance for late fees in from halal bank contracts. So there's no more late fees, and this is one of the beauties of pushing the boundaries. Right, we were talking about the boundaries only get pushed. The more opportunities for halal investments only come when you push the boundaries.
Yeah.
When you make available, when the scholars say, okay, you're allowed to invest in the stock market, but only under this threshold, and then more companies will say, like, okay, you know what? There's millions of dollars from Muslim investors who are not going to invest into us unless we avoid interest and debt.
Yeah.
So they're going to be forced or voluntarily reduce how much income they take from interest or debt so that they will get more Muslim investors.
Yeah.
This is the point. It's about pushing the threshold so that we get access to more and the infrastructure improves. And then slowly, that interest-based financial system will just fall apart, or the Muslims will just naturally just go more towards the halal options because there are so many on the market. And that's only going to come when we continually push the boundaries.
And I think it's already starting in a way, because as we discussed, crypto was just a natural alternative to the conventional finance system, because people were just sick and tired of being controlled and having no value in the fiat currency that they own. And it was a no-brainer that something like this was going to happen, and it's probably going to become bigger and bigger. Not probably, will become bigger and bigger. But I'm actually curious also that you mentioned the UAE being deleting the late fees, and maybe it's happening in other GCC countries, I'm not sure. But it's very interesting how people have this image of UAE and specifically Dubai as this really, westernized city that has no character, and also the haters will say this, the people that are critical, but there's a very beautiful, complete opposite side to it that people can experience and see if you choose to.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think I actually wanted to see your view on, because you've obviously made that decision to move from Scotland, and you picked UAE as opposed to all the other Muslim countries that you could have gone to. And you are clearly very happy with that choice
100%.
because you are experiencing really things that you always wanted. And how's that been for you?
I love this topic, man. I could talk a long time about this topic, right? So, do you know, I saw a video from this business owner, right? This British, English, Caucasian business owner, built a really good, I think it was a marketing SaaS business or something. And he was living on the Palm, right? And then he made this YouTube video about, I'm leaving the UAE after 5 years and 10 reasons why I can't live in the UAE more, right? And one of the reasons he gave, remember, he's living on the Palm, right? And one of the reasons he gave was that there's no community and there's no culture. And I was like, sorry, you live on the Palm and you're complaining that there's no community. Do the people that live on the Palm want community? Yeah. No, they live there because they want to be away from everyone else, right? So it doesn't make any sense, these stupid arguments that people make, right? If you want community, go live in one of the amazing developments that are coming. If the demographic of the people that are living there match your demographic, or if you want something even more conservative, like I've chosen, right? I live in one of the other Emirates that are beautifully conservative, right? Yes. My wife can walk the streets from 24/7 without any worries, without any concerns. Yeah. All the women are covered, right? All the men are safe and they're respectful, and she's got access to everything that she could possibly want. Yeah. Half the time she takes the kids out and she comes back like 5-6 hours later, and I don't know where they've been. She's just taking the kids to the mall or to the soft play. Yeah. And it's just like, and then the other thing that I love about my emirate, right, where I live, is that it is mostly expats in that region, in Mazz, right? It's mostly expats, but they're from Muslim countries. Yeah. Right? So they don't bring the weird, unhealthy culture of, Western culture. Yeah. They're from North Africa or African countries, or the Middle East, Jordan, and all these, and Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, and all that kind of stuff, right? So obviously there's pros and cons. One of the other things that is incredible, right? In Mazz, there's probably about 15 to 20 different nationalities. Minimum. Right? Minimum. And then all this stuff that you hear about in the West about immigration being the source of all the problems. Do you know in Mazz, there's little to no crime? Yeah. You live there, right? You live in... there's little to no crime. Yeah. How can you have an area where you have 15 to 20 different nationalities and there's little to no crime? Yeah. That speaks volumes about the infrastructure and the country that's been built by the leadership. Yeah. That's incredible to consider what they've built.
It is, because I always make this argument, and I'm like... I'll speak specifically in regards to Dubai, because it's the one that makes most of the headlines. This city is what you make of it. Absolutely. And the sooner you realize this, the better off you will be. Because if you're going to chase the vices and the things that are just going to drag you down, you're going to end up with nothing. And you're going to end up in a very bad situation, because those things are made for specific people. But people maybe that, like you or others, that are trying to promote and build wealth and really bring people up, there are also things for those people in Dubai, and there's a lot. You just have to find the right community, and you have to look in the right places, because you're not going to find the right community and you're not going to find the right people if you're looking at something that obviously, like you said, for example, like the Palm or specific areas where it will be very difficult to sort of have people of similar backgrounds if you are looking for specific things. So this is a problem. It's just it's such a big mix, and because it's such a big mix, people don't know what to look for, and they don't know how to start. And I think you've also had this predicament when you wanted to come. You're like, wait, where do I move? Where do I stay? So why did you pick that particular place? Did you do a lot of research and then realize that, okay, this is where I want to be?
I feel like a lot of it was just blessings, because
Yeah.
I did research, obviously, Sharjah and Ajman. And obviously, I knew that they were more conservative, and I knew that was where I wanted to raise. I wanted to be somewhere more conservative, right? But even as you said, there's plenty of places in Dubai that are conservative, right?
Yes, of course.
But I decided that, you know what? Again, what we talked about outside was that I don't need to be in Dubai very often, once or twice a week, and because my agency works mostly online, I can live somewhere where the cost of living is easier, more comfortable. I can live somewhere where proportionally for what I'm paying, again, as I said before, I don't think anyone's got a better view than me.
Yeah.
Honestly, like,
Yeah.
Or very few people. For proportionally for what I'm paying,
Yeah.
definitely not.
Yeah.
Maybe your view is a little bit nicer than mine. I don't think so, but for most people. And then for what they are paying compared to what I'm paying, again. And then the conservativeness of the area, and like it's just a nice place to raise children.
Yeah.
It's just nice. And the other fact is that I can go anywhere in Sharjah and I can be comfortable and feel comfortable that there's not going to be any craziness. And fair enough, yeah, Dubai is absolutely what you make of it. But I mean, if you go to certain places in like Kite Beach and stuff, there's going you want to take your kids to Salt or something, right? There's going to be people there that are dressing not as what I want my children to see and that kind of stuff. So I mean, it's like you don't really get that in Sharjah.
Yeah.
Even you do, and actually in Mazz where I live, right? You do get tourists because there's literally there's a couple of hotels near me, but most of them are Eastern European tourists. So even then, they dress quite well. They don't dress like crazy. The Western Europeans do.
And what's in terms of now with your agency, what do you think are interesting up and coming investment choices or investment avenues that you guys are exploring that are, maybe unheard of or interesting? 'Cause this is your chance right now to promote your business.
So one of the things that I'm really grateful about is that we have access to certain opportunities, investments that the general public will very rarely ever have access to.
Really? Like?
So I mean, a lot of them again are property. For example, we have a very close brother who is rapidly building infrastructure in Medina for short-term lettings. No, bro, I don't need to tell you how many millions of people are moving through Medina every year.
Yes,
right?
Of course.
From a fundamental perspective, if you're doing short-term lettings, you don't need much more.
It's a no-brainer.
Yes, a no-brainer. And some of the returns, I'm not going to say what the returns are, but some of the returns that he can offer consistently that are, in terms of risk, conservative, crazy. Like, I have not found anything else that excites me as much as Medina.
Mashallah.
And then what we're looking for, and inshallah we're very close to finding, is a single avenue, single investment opportunity that is pension grade. And what I mean by that is it's on a similar risk level to a pension, right? Where, for example, most pensions are very low risk, because what they want is they want people to start putting money towards their pension every month from starting when they first start working, 20, 25 years old, right?
Yeah.
And then by the time they're ready to retire, 50, 60 years old, then their pension has grown enough that they can maybe take up maybe 10, 15, 20,000 dirhams a month to live off of, right? And what pension will not do is invest that money into high risk stuff.
Yeah.
So generally a pension, the returns that you're going to get from a private pension are quite low
Yeah.
in order to maintain that low risk. But what we are all very close to getting access to is, again, an opportunity that our clients can access on a regular basis, that can put money into on a regular basis, that will grow their money at a similar risk level to other pensions, but significantly higher percentage profit annually. And with that, we're talking about something that people can just invest consistently towards every month, set up a direct debit, and it's going to get them to that position of being retired. Maybe not like our clients 10, 15 years, maybe 20 years, 25 years, but it's still faster than most pensions that are out there.
Yeah.
So this is something that I'm very excited about. A pension level opportunity that is similar risk, but higher returns.
Yeah.
It's going to be a game changer.
And very, very sustainable too.
Yeah, exactly. Sustainability, options for
so something
growth.
Maybe that's maybe the right word of describing is like institutionalized, something that's just
so it has to be institutionalized. It has to be in a really good asset class, and I see a lot of good things in property right now.
Yeah, man, there's no doubt about that. I mean, just if you talked about short-term letting in Medina, short-term letting in Dubai, man, one of the most visited cities in the world. The hotel rooms are not enough, and a lot of people don't want to stay in hotel rooms. I know a lot of Airbnb hosts that have hundreds of units. These guys have an occupancy rate that will not go below 90% throughout the year, even in the 6 months that that are like super hot and super warm here.
Yeah, I've seen that.
90% occupancy rate. It's just crazy.
I was expecting a lot of the occupancy to be like lower and cheaper in summer, but it's not.
You lower the prices, but people still come. There's something really fascinating about this city. I feel like it is blessed in a way, because I feel, regardless of whatever criticism people might give to Dubai, I feel like there is barakah here, in the sense that, or in the UAE overall, because people really have the opportunity to come and make something out of themselves, which is very hard nowadays to do because of how difficult the West has become to live in, or any other developed countries. I feel like there's really a lot of barakah in this place, because people come, they make it, they're able to, build wealth, create jobs, give back to the community. A lot of them also, I would say most of them are family oriented, so they have these good virtues. And I do believe that this good energy, one way or another, is coming back and making this place a very desirable place.
Completely agree.
And people can say all they want, but this is really honestly what I believe. And I also, I'm a supporter of capitalism in a way. And yes, I'm not, obviously, I'm like you, I agree about interests and etc. But I do also believe that some capitalists are also blessed in their own way, because they create wealth and jobs for hundreds and maybe millions of people that indirectly, because of their hard work, their perseverance, and their innovation. And whether you like it or not, I do believe that there is also some sort of barakah that comes along their way, because they've actually made a lot of contribution to society.
Of course. Capitalism isn't inherently un-Islamic. It's if you do it ethically and with Islamic principles, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
As you said, you're creating jobs, you're creating opportunity. Like if you can create a job for someone who came from like Pakistan or India, who didn't have any other opportunities, and here he has a job, he has a bed, he has a roof over his head, he has clean water and food, he has running water to like shower.
Yeah.
Does he not have better opportunity than he did back home?
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing. That's entirely Islamic.
Yeah, and that's the people would argue, no, it's like no capitalism, it shouldn't be haram and this and that. It's communism and or let's say socialism is like no. Go to the UK, you'll see, or go to Canada, you'll see what socialism does. 100%. It actually, if anything, it promotes laziness. It promotes very low productivity. Because you, like you said, and especially in our religion, it is not allowed for you to be lazy. You should be productive. You should do something. You should get up and work and try to give back in one way or another. In any skill set, in any way, shape, or form. But this is a whole different topic. But what I wanted to ask you is, what about the youth? What about the younger generation? How are you guys trying to target maybe kids or people that are just about to, start making money in their teenage years? Because maybe that's the best way to mold them into what you expect them to be when they grow up.
So, I mean, as an agency, obviously, we can't really serve the youth just as of yet, but inshallah, something at some point in the future is definitely there. I mean, we do a lot of free content on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube that is massively beneficial. So they've got access to all of that information, and I think it's going to be the ones that are the most diligent young kids that are going to come across that content and then, start taking it seriously, and they're the ones that are going to benefit the most.
Yeah.
But I think it comes down to the parents to realize that, we're not taught these financial education properly.
Yeah.
We're not taught how to manage our money. We need to learn, and then we need to teach our children.
Yeah.
If we come with that mindset, then we're going to have such lower rates of financial problems in our society.
Yeah.
If we teach our children.
Yeah.
That's the solution to everything.
What about charity? Have you ever because the other day I actually made a post on LinkedIn and I said that inshallah ya Rab, before the end of this year or maybe by next year, I'm hoping and I'm willing to raise 1 million dirhams for orphans, inshallah. And I'm planning to do a big event on where this could happen, and I'm pretty sure I can do it. And it got me thinking, is that what if every person had some sort of initiative like that? I think we would be in a much better place. Yeah.
It's a beautiful initiative, Allahumma barik.
Inshallah. But so I'll tell you about it more. But do you feel, do you guys have any collaborations, or do you guys work with any charitable organizations, or not yet?
Yeah, so alhamdulillah, what we work very closely with, we've donated as a whole to Gaza, and we've built quite a few wells, alhamdulillah, in Pakistan, India,
Nice.
etc. And we are working with one of the biggest Islamic scholars in the world with regards to finance, Islamic finance.
Mm-hmm.
One of his kind of deputies runs Islamic schools in Pakistan, and we are working with them to invest into the children's education, Islamic education, Quranic education. And one of the projects that he is launching that we are very, very big on, inshallah, is teaching these children.
Mm-hmm.
One of the issues they found is that when the children graduate from Islamic sciences, they don't have any other skills. They don't have any other marketable skills.
Yeah.
So what we are working towards now is, inshallah, giving them sales skills, marketing skills.
Yeah.
Right? So even as simple as once they graduate, they've got all these Islamic knowledge and all that thing, they can go on the street and they can understand the basic sciences of sales. And they can take certain products and they can sell them on the street, and they can slowly grow, and they can start selling bigger things, and then maybe get a little small warehouse or something like that. Slowly like that. And anyone can do that. There's no limitations on that. So sales and marketing skills to the youth is, I think, one of the most powerful things.
Because everything is sales in life.
Even
if you want to marry a girl, it's sales. You have to sell yourself to her, and she has to be 100%. Convinced that you are worth the investment.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I think inherently sales has to be at the base of anything. But now, if you had, in hindsight, if you had to look back, what would you tell your younger self 10 years, 15, 20 years ago? What would be something you tell him right now?
I would say sell everything and buy Bitcoin. Sell everything, buy Bitcoin. But Allahu Alam, it's interesting, man. It's like if I told myself these things, then I wouldn't have built what I've built, because I would be in a different position. But in terms of lessons, man, there's so many lessons. Again, I hate people that say, "Oh, I have no regrets." Regrets are one of the parts of life. Regrets are the things that make you better.
I want to ask you about yours. What's the best lesson and the biggest regret?
The lessons come from regrets.
Yeah.
Right. So
Oh, let's say, sorry, let me change this question. What's the best decision that you've ever made and the one that you regret the most?
The best decision, I think, was when my parents pushed me towards learning the Quran. So I can't say there's much more of a better decision than that.
Yeah.
And the second question?
What's the biggest regret you have?
Biggest regret. The biggest regret is not. I've always had major procrastination issues.
Oh yeah.
It's funny. People. I don't know what vision they have of me as a person online and all this, and they think I'm successful. I'm comfortable, but I have my entire life. I've had major procrastination issues.
Really?
So through high school and university, I failed 3 exams in university. I failed a whole year at university because of procrastination issues. So there's that. I probably would have prioritized things better. But and even now as a business, there's always things that you're going to put off. There's so much big list of things I've got to do for my business and clients and things that it's just so much to do, and I end up putting it off and end up.
Well, you can't do everything, right? Because there's only so much you can do a day.
Yes.
And honestly, I always say this on every single podcast, is maybe the life in itself is 80-20. 20% is super important. 80% is okay. It can be done. But like you have to focus on the 20% because otherwise, if you have to finish everything, then everything's important. Then there's no point, only 20% of what you're doing is actually critical, and then the rest can be done.
That's a really good point. It's the
80-20 principle, Pareto's law.
I think I need to apply that a bit more to my business and focus on the 20%.
Yeah.
But khair, alhamdulillah, we're always learning, we're always growing.
Yeah. So let's end it with some fire questions, and then I want to pick your brain. So you could just like short answers, or you could just tell me what you think. So when it comes to halal wealth and money choices, gold or silver?
Gold.
Okay. Stocks or real estate?
Real estate.
Bitcoin, halal or haram? You've already answered this.
Bitcoin halal.
The best top 3 crypto coins.
Okay, again, not financial advice. Don't buy these Bitcoins just because I'm saying Bitcoin, probably Ethereum, and I think Solana is doing okay. Yeah, we're with regards to disproportionate returns, I think just be careful. But I think you can't really go wrong with the top 3, 5.
Okay.
They're top for a reason.
Buy or rent?
If it's going to be a mortgage, then avoid the mortgage and rent.
Even if the mortgage is Islamic?
If it's a fully halal Islamic mortgage, there's no funny business, it's fully Islamic.
Yeah.
And the monthly payments are less than the rent, then yes, of course.
Or equal
financially,
to.
that works. Obviously, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's around the same or less, then that makes sense.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're going to own an asset and it's halal. The main thing is it's halal.
Yeah. Save or invest?
Save and invest.
I knew you were going to say that. Would you ever take out a loan for anything?
Not if it was riba. No.
If it was Sharia compliant?
If it was Sharia compliant, sometimes there are circumstances where it makes financial sense. If it's completely Sharia compliant, sometimes it does make financial sense, but I would really aggressively encourage people to avoid financing their entire life. Even if it's from a halal loans, etc., don't finance your entire life. It's just, it becomes worse and worse, and you end up having massive monthly payments, even though they're interest-free, etc. Just, it's not worth it. Just buy. If you can't buy it with cash 5-10 times, then you can't afford it. Just don't buy it.
Okay. One word to describe riba.
Destructive.
Yeah, big word. The biggest modern trap for Muslims financially.
The biggest trap for Muslims financially is, I think it has to be education. They're not educated. If they don't have education, then they can't pull themselves out of the hole that we've got ourselves in.
Yeah.
Get yourself educated. One of the question I get a lot from clients is, what do you think about financial advisors? And I'm like, I personally, again, I'm not going to, obviously need, legally, financial advice is important, but nobody giving your money to someone else, nobody's going to care about your money as much as you do.
Yeah.
So educate yourself, Learn how to manage your own money, your own
Yeah.
investments, and
Yeah.
they will do better than giving someone else your money to invest.
What would you do if you were the boss of the financial system?
I would get rid of all riba. I would implement a fully Islamic financial system. And I don't need any more evidence to the fact that, after the death of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the righteous Khalifas afterwards, there was a point in time where they were raising zakat and there was no one to give zakat to. They had built such a robust, healthy, financially healthy society that the zakat that was raised in the Baytul Mal, that was there intended for the poor, they couldn't find any poor
Wow.
that qualified to receive it. They couldn't find anyone. But how can you get better than that kind of financial system?
Yeah.
You can build something like that. Again, it's not easy. You're going to have some big targets on your back trying to build something like that. But
no, I mean, but it can be done. Well, what's his name? The Bengali financier that won the Nobel Prize, the one that created microfinance, Muhammad Yunus.
I've not heard of him.
Yeah, he created basically microfinancing for the poor.
Really?
Yeah, for the very, very poor families. And I think specifically in Bangladesh, you had a big poverty problem where people would sell their organs for money because of how bad it is over there. And there's a whole documentary about it. So you would not believe that how little some of these families need just to have a running business.
Yeah.
A few $100s every month, and that's it. And they can pay it off as soon as they got some business. And that's exactly going back to what you were saying, is that if you can implement a robust system that is very healthy and fair and not based on usury, then you will have no poverty in a certain amount of years. It shouldn't be. No, there's enough wealth, alhamdulillah, and there's enough goodness in this earth for everyone to benefit.
100%. I absolutely agree that. I believe that. I think everyone can live comfortably. It's just the greed that's created this financial structure.
If a Muslim has debt, does he pay it off or invest first?
Pay it off first. This is actually a really common question we get. One example, one of our earliest clients started with us 4 years ago. He came to us after he finished our system or after a program, and he said, "Listen, Mazz, I live in the house. I've bought it from family. Like, my family helped me buy the property in cash. So I owe family, and I've got a little bit of student loans left. What should I do? Should I pay off the debts first, or should I invest first?" And I said, "Pay off the debts. Pay off the debts, and I am telling you, you will see so much blessings in your life." He did that. Now he owns 2 properties. He's got 6 figures just in crypto, in his crypto portfolio. That's not including his stocks and his gold and his property portfolio. He's flying. He's worth close to 7 figures.
MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Good for him. One habit that brings most barakah.
Sadaqah.
Sadaqah.
100%. 100%. If you can just give regular sadaqah, I'm very big proponent of giving a set percentage of your income in sadaqah every month.
Yeah.
Decide a set percentage of your income, just give it sadaqah every month. I'm telling you the blessings that you'll see from that.
Amazing, huh?
Massive.
Yeah. Hustle culture in one word.
Misleading.
Misleading. All right. Barakah or $1 billion?
Barakah, of course.
You're going to say that. But I would say no. I'd take the $1 billion and create something with it that creates more barakah.
Yeah, of course. There's always that possibility, man.
Yeah.
With a good intention.
One thing that most people waste most of their barakah on, like actually skip that question because it's phrased the wrong way. Your biggest money mistake.
Biggest money mistake. I think at the beginning, it's always going to be people making the wrong decisions with their money. A very common thing that clients come to us with is, I've invested into XYZ and I lost all my money. If you educated yourself and you knew the good things and the bad things to look out for, you wouldn't have made that mistake. So it comes down to avoiding scams and making sure that you know the green flags to look out for and the red flags.
That's good answer. Smartest investment ever, or your best for investment ever?
It has to be investing in yourself. That's going to
Investing in
give you the
yourself.
best ROI
Yeah,
compared to anything else. Yeah,
to make the right
yeah,
decisions.
100%.
Rich in money or rich in time?
Rich in money or rich in time? Well, that's a good question. I think rich in time. Rich in time.
Really?
I don't
Wow.
know. I don't know. No, don't take that. Don't hold me to that. I don't know. That's going to take too long for me to
It's
answer.
a tough one.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
Because if you're rich in time, then you're money poor, and then what are you doing with your
think?
time? What are you doing with your time? If you got
If
a
you're
lot of
rich
time,
if you're rich in time, maybe because you have, mashallah, a good system working for you, so you're able to buy back your
then-
freedom.
no. But the question is that if you're rich in time, then you have to be poor in money. If you're
Yeah.
rich in money,
Yeah.
then you're poor in time.
Okay, let's put it that
That
way.
way. I think okay. I would say rich in money then,
Yeah,
because then I can create time for myself.
that's true. Okay. Ever bought something that you instantly regretted?
Oh, many times. Most of the time it's from Amazon. All these stupid things that I barely use.
What's the best Quranic verse or hadith about wealth?
I think it's, I can't remember the exact verse, but the translation is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has purchased the lives of the believers from them for, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give us paradise. And in order for us to achieve paradise, we owe him our life and our time and our good deeds. Okay, again, I can't remember
I
the
like
exact
it.
translation.
Basically, in other words, just means that submitting yourself to the
Yes.
will of Allah.
Allah has purchased the lives of the believers for paradise. I think that's a more
Yeah.
accurate translation.
Yeah. Charity privately or publicly?
There's pros and cons to both. If people are worried about insincerity, then do it privately. But
Yeah.
if you can 100% do it with sincerity, again, I'm not claiming to be perfect. Wallahi, I wish that I can give it, whenever I give in charity, I can give it with 100% sincerity. That's the goal. But if a person can guarantee that they can give it with sincerity and they can give it publicly, because then it will influence others to give publicly, give more. And if you give more sadaqah, it's an overall benefit. But it has to come with sincerity.
Okay. One book or one resource that changed your life?
One resource. I think YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube is amazing. You can learn anything you
The
want on
amount of
YouTube.
things you can find on it is crazy.
Infinite.
Yeah. Mentor or self-learning?
Mentor, definitely.
Yeah,
I've learned a lot more from a mentor.
that's true.
You can learn in huge amounts from self-learning, but a mentor will just get you there faster. You'll lose less money, just more efficiently, better overall.
That's
Mentor,
true.
100%.
Wake up early or work late? And
Wake
for a
up early.
procrastinator, I was gonna.
I work late, but I wish I woke up early. So, yeah, I need to fix that.
Okay. Should well, we already spoke about Muslims investing in the stock market. Do you think that the luxury lifestyle also? Do you think that living a luxury lifestyle doesn't bring barakah?
No, not at all. You can absolutely live a luxury lifestyle as long as the baseline is you're praying and the
Yeah.
priorities are there. As long as the priorities are there and you're not doing anything haram, etc., then why can you not live a life of luxury and barakah?
Yeah.
Absolutely, you can.
If money was no object, what's the first thing you'd buy?
Money was no object. A boat.
A boat?
Yeah.
Trust me, take it from me. The best day, the best 2 days is when you buy the boat and when you sell it.
Really?
Trust me.
What kind of boat?
It was a small fishing boat.
Why?
Because it's such a headache, man. It's such a headache to maintain it
really
and
want a
have it.
boat.
You should do what you do with the supercars. Just charter the boat whenever you want, and then that's it.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Because
That's a really
it's
good
such a
idea.
headache. Insurance and you
Docking.
dock it,
Do you
maintain
know
it.
why though?
And under the sun, it's like eaten.
Oh,
You know, it's just
like the paint and everything.
everything, you know, it just keeps breaking down and you have to like fix it all the time. And trust me.
But do you know what? There's a dock right outside my apartment, and I've got this dream of like, oh, I could just walk across.
Trust me, it's not taken from a boat owner,
fair
a
enough,
previous
fair
boat owner. What country would you Sorry, which country would you retire in?
Medina.
Medina. Yeah, it's a beautiful place. The app you use the most?
The app I use
Or
the most.
the app you can't live without?
I can't live without. Oh man, that's difficult. I use a lot. I use my phone way too much.
Me too.
Maybe it's messaging apps because I keep into contact with all my clients and family. And
Yeah.
Telegram,
I would say
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp. Well,
Yeah,
WhatsApp,
Telegram,
Telegram. Yeah, probably the most critical ones. One thing you'd want to teach your children about money, that just if you had to teach them only one lesson, what would it be about?
Hopefully this isn't cheating, right? But hard work in the right direction.
Okay.
Hard work in the right direction.
So basically finding your niche.
Yes.
And doubling down on that.
Yes, there's a lot of people that work hard and they're going nowhere.
Yeah. Aimlessly.
Yes, but hard work in the right direction will achieve success in any aspect of life.
And assuming your son is watching this 20 years from now, when he's old, inshallah, and accomplished, what message would you give him right now if you're looking at the camera, if he's watching you? What would you tell him from the heart?
What would I tell him from the heart? I would say maintain your connection to your Quran, the masjid, and your parents. Respect your parents, and everything in your life will go well.
Inshallah. Ameen. That was a great podcast. Thank you, Harry.
That was phenomenal, bro.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this. That's a wrap. Wow, 2 hours.